9.1 Technology Capstone, Maps and Scale Drawings. This video will help you draw a map to scale and then also design a floor plan to scale. Let's first start with this map to scale. So we're starting out here with project number 1 on our first page of 9.1 here. And we're going to draw now a map from a sketch. And we're going to draw this map to scale. And so basically here's kind of the layout of the map that we're trying to create here. We're going to start right here at KCC. And we are going to use our ruler and our protractor, to make this map. And we are going to make our map accurately. This is the actual map. So what we're going to do is start here at KCC, head south, make a left turn, and then in our map we're going to head at a 45 here. Anyways, we'll get the instructions in just a second and I'll show you how to use those to create your map. And then we're going to travel over here to the turkey farm first, and then from the turkey farm we're going to travel down to the Ford dealership here in Marshall. So let's take a look now at these instructions here. So the first thing it's telling us to do, it's giving us our scale here, that 1 inch is equal to 1 mile. So every inch is equal to a mile here. And here are our first instructions, is to go south on North Avenue. So we're heading south on North Avenue. And we're going to go 0.26 miles to Emmett Street. So let's take a look at how we would go ahead and do that. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Here's the map that we're actually creating. So let's get a couple things going on here. First, let's orient your paper long ways here, just like I have it. We're going to start here at KCC and we're going to travel over this way to the turkey farm and then head south. So we need to have our paper oriented this way. We also want to put north, south, east, and west. I suggest down in the lower left-hand corner because that will stay out of the pathway of our directions here. Okay. So our first instructions were to start at KCC, which I've labeled right up here in the top left corner, and we're going to go south 0.26 miles. Well, we need to figure out now how to take that 0.26 miles and turn it into inches. And so I've kind of drawn up the calculations here for us. And so here we're looking at this first one right here. Let's see if I can hold that up a little closer. And so what we do is we want to figure out, this is the 0.26 miles. We want to figure out what that's going to look like in inches. Well, on our ruler, the very smallest tick mark that we have is 1/16 of an inch. So notice I'm writing 16 over 16. That would mean 1/16 of an inch out of 16 would be equal to 1 inch. So I'm going to multiply this 0.26 basically times 1 inch. But I'm going to think about this 1 inch as 16 over 16. Because what that'll do here is I'm going to take this 0.26, write as a fraction, put it over 1, and I'm going to take this 0.26 times 16 in the numerator, which will give me this 4.16. That means I'm going to go 4, roughly here when I round that now. We can't go 0.16 of a 16th here, but we'll round that 4.16 to 4. And what that tells me then is I want to go 4/16 on my ruler to get that length. So if I look at my ruler here, on our ruler, these smaller tick marks are all 1/16 of an inch. So what that tells me then is, after I've done this multiplication here, is I need to go 4 of those traveling south. So I'm going to take my ruler, place it on my paper here, and you can start at 0 on yours. My camera's in the way here, so I'll just kind of start at 5. Get myself set up so that I'm going south here, straight south, and I want to go 4 of these 16ths. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there, basically 4/16, which is also 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now let's go to our next direction there. Our next direction says turn left onto Emmett Street and follow Emmett Street for 2.68 miles. Well, you want to think about yourself here driving in your car this way, facing this direction, so left would be that way. So I'm going to make a left turn, and we're going to assume that's a 90-degree turn. So I'll take my protractor here and line that guy up, and we'll make a 90-degree turn there. Now, I don't want to start drawing my line because I need to figure out how far to go, so that I go back to the calculations again. And so this is what I'm doing this time. I'm taking this 2.68 miles. Well, 2 inches, we know that 1 inch is equal to a mile. So 2 inches or 2 miles is just going to be 2 inches. So we don't need to worry about that. If we have a whole number, that converts nicely. So this 2 right there, 2 miles, will be 2 inches. So all I then have left to do really figure out is what this 0.68 of a mile would be. So I do the same thing I did last time. 0.68 times 16. And when I round that out, it will give me approximately 11/16 of an inch. So I'm going to travel 2 and 11/16 here to do that 2.68 miles. So 2 and 11/16. So I would go, all right, line my ruler up there, line it up there. Here I am at 2, and now I want to count out 11/16. So each tick mark here is a 16th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 would be right there. Okay, so I want to go ahead now and draw my line through my protractor mark and stop right there at that mark that I just made at 2 and 11/16. Okay. My next instructions now are to turn left on McAllister Road at approximately a 45-degree angle. So I want to make a 45-degree angle here, and then I want to go 1.19 miles. So here I am getting a 45-degree angle. Take my protractor, set this crosshairs right at the end of that last thing I traveled, and I'll go up here at a 45, counting my angles out here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45. So right about there. Okay, so that's the direction I want to travel from here, moving in this direction, and I want to go for a distance of 1.19 miles. Well, here I am figuring out 1.19 miles. Well, 1 mile is just 1 inch. So all I have to really figure out is this 0.19. So I'm going to take again 0.19 times 16. When I round that, it'll give me 3. So that tells me that's 3/16 of an inch. So I want to go 1 inch and then 3/16. So I line my ruler up here. And I'm going to go 1 and 3/16. So 1, 2, 3/16. Right there. So I'm going to draw my line then like that. And we want to continue on. Okay, and then we're going to continue on here with the instructions following the same thing. So now we're going to bear right, and we're going to turn at another 45-degree angle from this one. So that means I would want to line my protractor up. First one was a left turn. First one was a left turn. This is a right turn. So if I was driving in my car down this way, that means I'm turning this way at a 45-degree angle. So I line my protractor up this way. So I'd start over here at 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. 5 would be right there. That would be my direction now that I'm traveling. And then I would go on to travel this 2.68 miles. Or was it, no, sorry, 6.32 miles. Well, that's exactly how that we just did the last one. 6 miles will be 6 inches. So all you have to do is figure out this 0.32 by multiplying it by a 16. That will tell you how many 16ths of an inch we have to go that distance. So we are going to continue on following these directions, creating this scale map. Remember, we're going to travel over here to the turkey farm, and then we're going to travel down here to Boshear's Ford dealership. Now, once we get the Ford dealership, then what we want to do is we want to answer this final question after we get our map drawn. And that's the final question here. Boshear's Ford is blank miles from KCC and at this certain angle. So what we want to do is, let's say here was my Boshear's Ford when I get done with my map there. What I want to do is I want to measure this out with my ruler from KCC, from your X marks a spot on KCC, which was right where I started, right here, before I started that measurement. So right there, all the way down to our final drive in here, which would be right there, both shears forward. We would want to measure that out in inches. And then we would want to convert those inches into miles. And it won't work out to be a nice even mile, so it might be, some decimal value there on the end for the miles. Get your miles, and then we want to get an angle too. So what we'd also do is maybe as you're measuring this out, draw a very light pencil line through here so that we can come back now with our protractor and measure this angle. And so we would put our protractor right here like this, line it up with that south trip we made to begin with, and then using that nice light line that I have there, you could go ahead and measure this angle that you get to bow shears forward. Remember, starting here at 0, 10, 20, 30, something, probably somewhere 40 or 50 degrees, maybe 60, something like that. So you can measure out that angle. So you would want to say at the end of this both the distance and the angle that we're getting. And we also want to give a north, south, east, west degree on that angle. Like the way that I've set my protractor up here, this would be south because my protractor is facing directly south, and then I would say east, southeast, maybe 55 degrees would be this bearing that I have right here because I'm starting south, so we would label that south, and then I'm going from south, east, 55 degrees to get that bearing angle. Okay, so that's the first one. The second thing we're doing is we are going to create an apartment layout. So our next question here is to create an apartment layout. And there's different ways we can do this. We're going to fill in this chart to come up with different possible room dimensions. I've given us one here, which is 36 feet by 24 feet. Notice when I multiply 36 times 24, it gives me this total square footage of 864 square feet. So this would be one set of dimensions I could use, come up with 3 other sets of dimensions. Once you come up with the sets of dimensions, decide on which one would work best for your floor layout. You might want to sketch around a little bit, but what you're going to do is you're going to create this small apartment now. And in here we're going to have 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a living space. And the living space can include your dining area if you want to. It's up to you. And we're going to use the scale 1/4 of an inch equals 1 foot. And it's listed down here again. 1/4 of an inch equals 1 foot. So notice what I'm doing here with these last calculations. I'm calculating what the actual inches, these dimensions in feet would be. So I'm taking 36 feet times 1/4, because every foot is 1/4 of an inch, and that told me that to get 36 feet to represent 36 feet on my layout here, my floor layout, it had to be 9 inches. 24 feet had to be 6 inches. So then I take paper again, and I laid it out. You can lay this orient it the other way if you want to. I did it this way because it was easy. So here was 9 inches, and here was 6 inches. And so I labeled this on my drawing. This is 36 feet, 24 feet. I want to also include my scale on my drawing, which is that 1/4 of an inch is a foot, and then label it, apartment layout if you want to label it something else. This is your apartment. And then in this space, you have your total leeway now to lay out your apartment, how you want this thing to look, what the bedrooms are going to look like, what the kitchen's going to look like, the bathroom's going to look like. You also want to include some furniture in here. You can measure your furniture at home, or you can look up dimensions online. And so, you might want to have a couch, you might want to have a television, table, chair, something like that. But go ahead, once you get your floor layout, then go ahead and add your furniture or whatever you're going to have in your apartment to that.